So, religions contradict each other. And when they contradict each other, they're obviously not all equally valid. They're either both wrong, or one of them's right and one of them's wrong. But the law of non-contradiction has an incredible way of not allowing for two contradictory ideas to be equally true in the same way at the same time. Muslim friends make a very clear claim that Islam is the truth, and I respect that. They believe that genuinely. Now, I disagree with them, but that doesn't mean we're going to start killing each other. As a follower of Christ, I have no choice but to love and respect all human beings and to respect and to talk civilly to all people. Christ commands that. I mean, the one who bled and died on a cross praying, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." That's the essence of tolerance. Tolerance is not me looking in the face of an atheist and saying, "Oh, you and I agree. We're saying the same thing." It's not tolerance, that's being brain dead. The atheist and I disagree. Now, the question is, what's the evidence that what you believe is true? What's the evidence that what I believe is true? And then we have a civil discussion.
In the months and years to come, the veil to our reality will be further lifted. Here are just a few YouTubers that are looking into this.
Who to handle production? Who to handle production?
Yeah, wow. I mean, come on. The things that we're finding out, if you look up in the night sky and you see lights, I mean, that's what you're looking at. I mean, this is what we're finding out. You know, every minute of every day, we're finding new stuff out. While people with their blinders on about flat Earth and their universe and what they live on, you know, some people prefer to live in a fish tank. You know, and say, I don't know what's up there and I don't care, as the bubbles come bubbling into their mouth, you know, as they swim in their red goo in the Matrix. I got news for you. The veil is being lifted, and you too will know for the Earth to be flat in the coming months and years. It's the inevitable. All right, I've seen this happen way too many times. But yeah, I'm not worried about you waking up, because you're going to wake up all on your own. But the thing is, when you know the truth, you tend to be pushed supernaturally, spiritually by your Creator to do the best you can to notify the other inhabitants of your flat Earth what they live on. Now, as you can see, I mean, this is amazing. This is Venus. Does this look like something you can land on? Does that look like the planet that they told you that exists with all the pictures of Venus? It's transparent. You can see the sky right through it. I mean, this is obviously not something you're going to land on. And I got a sneaky suspicion all the planets are pretty much the same way. All right? And I'm not 100% on that, but I think there is. One thing we know for sure, we can't get into space. Nothing above low Earth orbit, which is not really space. Okay, and they've been able to fake something in the sky that looks like the ISS, but we know for a fact that they're not on there. There's just no way. Okay, we know they didn't go to the moon. We know the Coriolis effect is horseshit made up by the Army and the New World Order and the powers that be, our government. And if the Coriolis effect was real, it would work for the planes too. For some reason, planes going in the opposite direction, it doesn't matter. But firing a gun, yeah, that matters for some reason, you know? It makes no sense. And who on Earth has ever used the Coriolis effect to shoot a fucking gun? And if you had to, you know, be like, well, why don't we just get a little bit closer? You know, pushing, I mean, you know, if this thing really existed, would you be pushing the limits and then you have to use the Coriolis effect? Or you would just use another technology to take the person out? I mean, it's just things that people don't think about. But, yeah, this, you know, math, science, that's all been written by them, your history. So why regurgitate Copernicus or Einstein or any of their X equals Y equals globe horse shit? I mean, you got to realize by now that this is all crap. You can make X and Y equal anything you freaking want. And you know that. The people who spew this stuff know that, but yet they just, you know, they want to push their bullshit globe agenda because they've been born and bred into it. You know, but look, I knew 3 years ago the Earth was flat. All right, and that's way before the 2015 awakening. All right, I tried to tell people that I was hanging out with on YouTube, and they shot you down. And they're still using the same arguments, which they don't have one. There's so many people now. Every minute of every day, there's new information. I mean, you see this, you see that. If I were to make a video showing all the information of all the greatest videos on what makes me think the Earth is flat, it would be a continuous stream, non-stop, for the rest of your life, the information. And this is no bullshit. I mean, literally thousands of hours of video a day. I mean, a week or a month would be on, you know, live streaming. Whereas information of the world being a globe, there is zilch, zero. Okay? You get the Coriolis effect. You know, get the Coriolis effect. Hey, you know that Coriolis effect. Yeah, what the fuck is the Coriolis effect? And how the fuck do you think that's real? You know, the Army Manual Handbook gave it to you? The people who were trying to poison you, kill you? That's the one? Really? That's utter bullshit. All right? Now, do you remember the moon hologram stories? Well, I was the first one to know the moon was a hologram before anybody, years before anybody started doing that. And I was supernaturally told the moon, for lack of a better word, I use hologram, because we don't know what the hell it is. That could be a light source too. We don't know. But it's not what we've been told, and for lack of a better word, we use the word hologram, but it's actually not a hologram, because people get confused with that. So I don't really think there's something making that. It's really confusing because we don't know exactly what it is yet, but I've been told supernaturally, and when I was told this, I was grabbed supernaturally, and for about 10 minutes, and I couldn't do anything but cry. And when it let me go, before it let me go, I said, I swear I'm going to make a video and tell everybody that the moon's a hologram. And I was weeping and crying when this entity let me go. And I stood up again and I caught my breath. I said, no fucking way am I opening my mouth on this, man. I'll be freaking killed on this. And I didn't. I sat on it for 2 months, and people started making videos about it. God is going to spread this to not only one person. He's spreading it out to everybody, and everybody has a little piece of the pie. It depends how you take that information and how you spread this information and how you are able to, make yourself heard, the way you make your video. Because, I have no talent, and I have no mind to do anything. I'm the self-proclaimed dumbest person on the planet. But when you're told by the entity that created you, you do it. All right? And they give you the ability to do it. So then I made the video 2 months later. People attacked it. All right? And then now, years later, you got Crow77. I'm going to show you a clip of him. He's showing you a video of the lunar wave. So there's some kind of disturbance when you're looking at the moon, which proves the moon is not what they say it is. All right? Now, if you're paying attention and you don't get all crazy, there's a whole storyline that I've been following and being told supernaturally and doing for the past 3 years. It's not horse shit. Your Earth is flat. It is not spinning. Okay? That's a fact. Okay? The Coriolis effect is horseshit. You got no ISS. You got no satellites. You can't go past low Earth orbit. Okay? This is how much we know so far. And I can't sleep at night. Okay? This information has to be told, and that's it. Otherwise, why the hell would I care to put this out so I can get attacked? All right? This is a supernatural war. Whether you believe in God or not, God is reaching out to everybody, because this is how he's going to bring them to you. Bring you to him. One way or the other. The thing with the flat earth, every flat earther who was an atheist says, oh my God, there's a God. Okay? What do you think is happening over here? Okay? Evolution? No. This is why they want to hide the flat earth. Okay? This brings you to your creator, to God. All right? At least I am. Well, anyways. So there's a big storyline behind the moon being a hologram, even though that's a bad word to use. But I'm going to give you a clip of Crow77, and I suggest you go check out his videos. And you can see that what we've been told about the moon, especially how far away it is. I mean, everything is right above us. All right, your sun is, your sun's not a globe either. If it was a globe and it's this close, it would just make sunlight throughout the galaxy. And if it was 93 million miles away, and it was this hot on top of us, it would probably annihilate anything in between there and here. It's just an impossibility. It never would make sense. None of what they told you makes sense. So I can't understand why you would defend the sun being 93 million miles away. It's just simply ludicrous. There's just not a chance of that happening. There's not a chance of the world spinning. There's not a chance that the gravity is what they told you. Okay? That's a bunch of horse shit. Okay? Why would gravity not pull down a ship? Because that's buoyancy. It's density. Right? It makes perfect sense, but the gravity makes absolutely no sense at all. All right, and the tides, the moon has nothing to do with your tides. If it did, there's lakes miles and miles and miles and miles wide, and that's got no tide. Okay, the moon is not. Why is the moon affecting the oceans but not the gigantic lakes? Moon can't affect the lakes. That's an impossibility. That's a fact. There's so many things. And to go on and on in a video, like I said, there would be an open broadcast for an eternity. The amount of information. It's so overwhelming, all the information that versus a globe. Because we've been looking into it. We couldn't tell you in one video. That's why people do it every single day. They put out little bits and pieces. You know? There may not be one thing I said today that proves to you that the earth is flat. But if you go out and look, you'll find your own piece of information. But I guarantee you the earth is flat. It can't be anything else. It can't be anything other than flat. I'm sorry. All right? You should not know what is going to change my mind. That's done and done. But here's a clip from Crow77.
When I initially began to try to describe to people what I thought the lunar wave was, I used the word hologram. This very quickly became a problem because so many people got hung up on, well, who made it? What person did that? How does the technology work? And I realized the error of my ways. So I now describe what we see as a facade. But what we can know is that it is a light. And in all the thousands of hours that I have viewed it, and in all the images you can go look up, nothing has ever changed, and that is the one constant truth in our lives, is change. Yet that moon looks the same today as the first time you ever looked at it. And while there have been a couple videos produced trying to show that some rock hit the moon, I would point out they're all really low resolution, black and white, crappy videos. So I asked, at what point does NASA have to provide footage that's as good as my no-budget footage from my backyard? So I know I wandered a bit there, but there it is.
No, that's a really good answer. And I always wondered to myself, why hasn't Coca-Cola stuck a teddy bear on the moon yet, drinking a can of Coke? It's never been branded, and if we can go there, we haven't been there since the 70s. I mean, officially, and I think aren't the Chinese at Mars at the moment? I don't know. There's a lot going on. A lot of people talking a big game, but not much action. However, right, I would say to you that apparently there's hundreds of satellites up in space. Is there not?
No, I would beg to differ there. In my view, satellites do not exist as they have been described. And while if you go to my channel, you will find some early clips where I was assuming that satellites existed. As I got into it and I would film things transiting the moon, and I began to try to identify them using Stellarium and other websites that will track satellites supposedly, what you will find is the lunar wave is among the hardest things you will ever set out to film. But it is easier to film a lunar wave than it is to film what you can call a satellite transiting the moon that you can identify. I had two close calls. One was with a satellite called Picard, another one Bright PL. At the time, I thought the Bright PL was in fact a satellite. Looking back, I now understand that, first of all, the Picard had everything going for it. Right trajectory, about the right speed, about the right time, and then I found it was a microsatellite. So there's no way in hell my little 8-inch scope could see a one foot square cube from 200 to 300 miles away. The second one was Bright PL, and when I went back and tried to confirm it by an actual lookup, it became pretty apparent that it's just not possible. And I defy anyone to film something transiting the moon that they can prove using lookup tables for satellites. They have filmed a satellite. In my view, satellites do not exist as they have been described to us.
Well, I find that very difficult to believe, I tell you, because I actually done this year a business deal with a company called EU Mestat, who are the Central European weather guys, right? And I had sent a guy over to Germany to go into their data center, basically. Okay, and I'm sitting there in a meeting with this guy called Peter Muller, and he's talking to me about all the satellites that they're dealing with. So a lot of people just can't get their heads around the fact.
Well,
that,
let me
go on.
Let me help you out there, David. Common sense can help anyone listening. Just do a logical mind experiment. Anything amazing in the world we live in now, the high definition world, anything amazing that can be filmed will be filmed. And yet you cannot find a single piece of footage showing a satellite doing the amazing things in amazing space that it's supposed to be doing. And I would further point out, if there are 10,000 plus satellites and God knows how many broken down ones up there in orbit, how come an International Space Station astronaut has never poked a camera out the window to show us one of these amazing things doing its job?
Well, this is a very good point, and we don't have that many pictures of Earth either. There's so many inconsistencies about the moon and space, and
Well, we need to address that one, don't we? I mean, you have never seen in your life a picture of anything from space. All of us in the Western world had textbooks in high school that showed us the Apollo 17 image of the Earth from space. And the truth is, that is not a snapshot of anything. That is a constructed image. You have never seen a true picture of Earth from space. And anyone who does the research will quickly find they are constructs, and they are labeled as such. They are mosaics, they are telemetry data, they are all these things, but not a snapshot. And this is true of every other thing that you have ever seen that was claimed to have been shot from space.
Now, this again is very true, because I've done my research on. They've come out and said, well, actually, these pictures of Earth that are out, they are constructed from one bit or that bit, and it's never a true image. And of course, in today's today's technology, wouldn't we have a webcam that would watch Earth 24 hours a day?
Of course.
Every day of the year? I mean, it's
well, I mean, it's a bit worse than that if you truly consider it. Quite often they run this supposed International Space Station live feed, but you can prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that you're looking at fraudulent imagery. For anyone who's ever been in an art class and understands perspective, when you see these images, which are, by the way, mostly over clouds and ocean, very rare when you get a shot of any land, what you see is clouds that are on the horizon. As they come closer to you, the distance between clouds should change. It should widen. And then things on the horizon should move more slowly than the things closer to you. This is not what happened. And that proves definitively that NASA's live feed from the International Space Station or any other claimed live feed from space is fraud. That the United States was put here to do something for a group of people you've never met, will never know, and will never know their names. And if you kind of consider that governments are responsible for the things we see, I think you need to look a little deeper. Governments are chosen and placed there by people or entities or whatever it is at a much higher level, and we can prove this through things like space agencies. All these people think that space agencies are at odds, but anyone who does the research will quickly understand that every space agency logo has the vector symbol. If you look, they're all telling the same lie. Right now, China is acting like they're on the moon. The same lie over again. They got caught not too long ago trying to show Chinese astronauts in space, yet bubbles were coming out of their suit, proving it was filmed in a pool. You see, these same lies are told over and over. The only thing that changes is the costume and the actor that's doing it.
But they are actors, there's no doubt about it. And the more I go down this rabbit hole, I kind of regret going down here. It's kind of scary, but at least I'm here.